Our water's turned off, honey. You haven't paid the bill yet, have you?
Oh shit, the bill? Hit is all for time.
This is literally the second time I asked you to pay. Did you really arrange for a direct debit? I said doubtfully. I expected the usual apologetic voice that would promise me he would deposit the money that very day. But instead, my husband yelled back at me in a very angry tone.
I'm in the middle of freaking depositing money, alright? I need help now.
My name is Jasmine, and I'm a 36-year-old housewife. I have a husband whose name is Trent, and we also have a beautiful daughter, Amelia, and we were living very happily together. I first met Trent at my job, which was a telephone receptionist and sort of accountant for a certain moving company. Most of my job consisted of answering fax to customers who called headquarters, and therefore didn't have much contact with personnel from the Department of Sales, where Trent worked. It was a busy workplace, but company trips and other kinds of social events were often held. We began to talk with each other from time to time, and in the process, we gradually became close friends.
Hey, Jasmine, I want you to be together with me on the premise of marriage. For such marriage.
Only if you're alright with it being someone the likes of me. I retired after I got married. After that, I bore a daughter. We used to live in company accommodation, but as our daughter started to grow up, we thought our home was becoming increasingly small and crowded. Now that Amelia is getting older and bigger, I think it's about time we start looking for a place where there's more room for all of us. What do you think?
Bus ripping, Wissel? I guess we should, but what cost? I do have an account with some amount of savings in it. Why don't we jointly as husband and wife? Let's just promise each other. We'll do our best to economize and we'll save up smoopers tester from as time goes on. I'll arrange for my salary to be put into that account. That way your savings won't be affected too much. Will they? Buy and pay and beat.
I think that's a great idea. So, right when my daughter was beginning middle school, we moved into a bigger, newer rental apartment. We had more room, and my daughter got her own personal room she always wanted. It's further from my husband's work, and it was because of that whenever he had to work overtime, he only came home until much after conventional times. On weekends, due to some company business, he often had to stay up late, and that would also persist well into the night. This led him to staying at the business hotel overnight, and that posed a concerning problem. Although these stays overnight were for the purpose of business, I was getting worried about the cost for entertainment. There was the rent for the apartment to worry about. Not to mention the house utilities such as water, electricity, and gas. I grew increasingly worried and unsure about whether we had enough money saved up to afford it all. Such was my life for about 2 months, when one day the electricity and gas were suddenly cut off. I was so surprised and concerned. I called my husband immediately. Hey, listen, I think we're in trouble, honey. We can't get power to the house. The gas isn't working either.
Oh damn it, I forgot all about it. I haven't deposited the money yet.
My husband seemed to have forgotten to pay the bills for our electricity and gas. I got the deposit information from him, found out where to pay the bills for our electricity and gas. I got the deposit information from him, found out where to transfer the money, and paid them as soon as I could. Mere minutes after, the electricity and gas came back, and I thought the worst was over. I was relieved this happened while my daughter was at school. I was horrified when I considered the possibility that this could have been at night. That day, I rushed to prepare dinner before welcoming Amelia home from school, as usual. Later that night, Trent came home, and I asked him about what I'd called him about that day. How could they cut off our electricity and gas? I don't think you understand how much of a big deal that is. I don't think something that serious could ever be the result of merely forgetting to deposit the bills. There has to be some other reason. Would you know of something?
Oh yeah, I think I do. I got an urgent letter reminding me to pay the bills, but what with work being so busy these days and all, I forgot all about it.
Is an urgent letter? You know you can't just leave it like that. Perhaps getting scolded by his wife made something inside Trent snap because his tone suddenly changed into one of frustration. My eyes widened at the sheer aggression he displayed with that voice of his.
Damn, Jasmine! Depositing the money is clearly a pain in the ass for me, for Murder Joe. Why don't you transfer the money yourself? You do realize I'm not at home because I'm working, right? You're the one who's home all day, and you have all the time in the world to be doing something simple like this. You'll be depositing the money here your side.
You're home all day, and you have all the time in the world? What's with that attitude, Mr. Mitchell? You make it sound like the only thing I do at home is fun and games. Taking care of the home and raising a child is anything but fun and games, Trent. I'm single-handedly taking care of the house and Amelia.
I know, it was hard when Amelia was little, honey. Also, like, she's a lot bigger now and is in middle school. Why don't you go out and try to find a job, too?
But such a suggestion? So sudden? I don't know, but as I thought about it more and more, it became more obvious that our family budget was managed by my husband. He was the one who paid the bills, and I realized, but as I thought about it more and more, it became more obvious that our family budget was managed by my husband. He's the one who paid all the bills, and I realized I've always left it to him, which isn't exactly healthy for a family relationship. I could see why he might feel burdened. It was a perfectly understandable reason to feel stressed. I came to the conclusion he was absolutely right.
I'm working as I shoulder the responsibility of taking care of all the payments that need to be done, you know. I don't appreciate the complaining at all.
You're right, Trent. You're working and doing your best to pay the bills and sustain the family.
Like her officer, she finally understands my... This is exactly why housewives don't know anything about society.
I'm going to find a job. I'm going to help you out with providing enough for the family.
Wait, what?
A couple days later, I already began my part-time job, which was a part-time administration receptionist at my husband's workplace, where I used to work myself when I first met him. That meant that he and I were back working together for the same company, but he didn't seem to be too enthusiastic about that.
Hey, you know you don't have to work for the same company as me, right? I'm sure there are other jobs that would love to hire you, like the supermarket near our apartment.
You say many places would love to hire me, but I wouldn't be too sure. I have the most experience in customer reception. And at supermarkets, you need a whole different set of skills to be hired in the first place, let alone do well at your job. I've been with this company for a long time before. That's precisely why they hired me back. However, I just don't know. It's a busy company. You're the one who told me to work. Is there some wrong with me being here?
No, absolutely not. If you're not in the same department as me, I don't mind one bit. Audrey spare.
Amelia supported me when I made the decision to start working again.
You're going to start working again, Mom? That's so awesome!
Thank you, sweetheart. I'm going to do great, just you see, okay?
I know you will, and I'll do my part to take care of myself whenever I can. I'll do my best to help you out, Mom.
Because of my decision to start working again, I think it's given my daughter an opportunity to awaken her sense of independence. The company had a lot of things changed over the years, and I had somewhat of a hard time relearning how to do my job. But as I gradually memorized the work and started showing progress, I started to enjoy it once again. And then my first payday came. I felt so happy and proud of myself that I was now a member of society. I went to see if my paycheck had been deposited in the joint account, Trent. And I had agreed to create, but try as I might, I couldn't find the bank book. It wasn't where I usually kept it, nor was it in any of the places I usually put it. It had been deposited in the account, Trent, and I had agreed to create, but try as I might, I couldn't find the bank book. It wasn't where I usually kept it, nor was it in any of the places we stored any important documents and administration papers. We stored any important documents and administration papers. I called Trent and asked if he had seen it.
His response was that he took it out to transfer the utility bills to the associating companies. They're going to be busy with work too. I thought doing the deposits myself would be more convenient. To cheaper, man.
Yeah, that would be convenient for real. Well, thanks, honey. I appreciate it.
I'll take care of it when I'm on break, okay? I also want to talk about bank book for you for a while, if you don't mind.
I don't mind. Thanks again. Get it done as soon as you can, honey, okay? I wanted to see my paycheck reflected in the bank book, so I was a little disappointed. But it was nice of Trent to shoulder the work of depositing the bills. Just around that time, a new female boss moved into the department where I worked.
Retaliation's nice to meet you. I'm Liz Percival, the new section chief. I consider part-time employees to be in the same position as full-time employees. I promise the work will be evenly distributed among all personnel. I hope we get along famously and work together to bring this company to greatness.
80 of the reception staff were part-timers. She insisted that we, the part-time staff, should be treated the same way as all other full-time employees. Well, that may sound like something awesome for me. The reality was far from what one expects. Suddenly, part-timers were given enough work that would take them to overtime. One couldn't even ask for some time off.
Hey, you there. You have to stay here today and take care of this work. Then you can go home, okay?
It was so inconvenient for anyone who worked part-time to be treated this way, and many staff struggled to meet Miss Percival's demands.
I have to pick my son from daycare today. I can't do any extra work on such short notice.
To those who adamantly refused to cooperate because they simply couldn't, Miss Percival became extremely insistent and said things that made them feel guilty.
Why don't you ask someone else to go pick him up instead? That's not the way an adult handles work as a functioning member of society. Do you have any idea how much more work it's going to be for us full-timers because of negligent part-timers like you?
I couldn't take it anymore, and I offered a solution. Excuse me, I'll do that extra work for you. You go pick up your son from daycare, Dana.
First, I'm only talking to her, Mitchell. This is none of your business. You're just being too much of a nosy body when you should be focusing on your job.
That someone has to do it anyway, and Dana here simply cannot.
I'm giving the orders around here. You're just a part-timer and you're always getting in people's way.
Section Chief Percival always showed a very resentful attitude and tone towards me. I had the slightest idea why she hated me so much. Answered questions to even during this time, she would ramble on and on and on about how I was an obstacle to more important members of the company, which of course caused me to get distracted, and I couldn't get my job done. And all the part-timers were never paid for those hours of working overtime. It didn't take long for us all to become exhausted. I thought that none of us could go on like this. So on behalf of everyone else, I gave my opinion to Chief Percival. Wait to prior a moment, please, Chief. I think fairness is a good thing in a company. So building on that, may I suggest that you please issue a formal overtime order as Section Chief. This will not be reflected in overtime hours, and it will also affect our payments.
The reason there is still work left to be done is only because of your own incompetence, Miss Mitchell. I'm not telling you that you need to work overtime. I'm only stating that there mustn't be any work left unfinished. But still, right when our shifts are about to end, you pile on the assignments like there's no tomorrow. No one could manage to finish it all without going overtime. Bertie Platties, it's your own fault that you don't even realize how much work you have left to do before you leave for home. You should be thanking me, since I'm the one who's generous enough to point that out to you part-timers. All of you are so lazy and so useless, it's disgusting.
I noticed that she even gave us her own assignments just so she could slack off on her job and make easy money. But I decided against saying anything about it. It would only make the situation worse. I backed off on that occasion. But eventually, some people quit their jobs because of her hot-headedness and her arrogance. That in turn snowballed into me having to do more work every day, and days when I came home late became ever more frequent. Moreover, Percival would deck herself out in her holiday attire on days she gave me even more work. She would leave the office on time. She was a really infuriating boss. One day, I didn't even have the time to withdraw any money from our joint bank account. I was out shopping, and I didn't have enough cash to pay for any groceries. I had no choice but to resort to a cup of noodles for dinner for everyone that night. I felt so sorry for my daughter. I'm so sorry, Amelia, honey.
It's okay, Mom. I like these noodles.
I can't believe I've been at work this long. I was so naive, wasn't I?
Hey, Mom. If you don't have time to withdraw liquid cash from your joint account, why don't you use electronic money or something?
Fan, but I just started working. I can't even have my own credit card yet.
No. Oh, Mom, you're so funny. I'm talking about a payment service on a banking app.
Wait, how do you about this, honey? Amelia had an air like she was a master at this.
I learned it in class last week. These days, education about electronic money is pretty much mandatory, you know? It isn't, but it's pretty mainstream.
I was surprised at the level of schooling the children of today were receiving. Per my daughter's suggestion, I applied for an electronic service online. Since it can also come with a mobile payment service, I didn't have to take the time to withdraw cash at the bank anymore. Moreover, you could see all the money going in and coming out of your account on your phone. That meant I never needed a bank book again. Now I can still get some groceries after I work overtime. I still hadn't seen proof of my paycheck deposited into our joint account, so when I saw the screen of my new online account, I was so happy to find that a decent amount had been deposited from the company I worked for. However, my joy was extremely short-lived. I looked at the balance of our joint account, and I was surprised to discover it had decreased considerably. My savings from my bachelor days were darn near level zilch. I was stunned. I looked at the details, and I began to notice something suspicious. Some unusual withdrawals from the account were frequently seen when the electricity was supposed to be paid, which I found they weren't. The frequency of these withdrawals only increased as the date approached the present, and the amount of money missing from the account only increased accordingly. Now I understood why my husband never gave me back the bank book. I quickly asked him about it. Hey, can I talk to you for a second? I need to know something.
Oh, what do you want? I'm feeling tired. Come on now, out with it.
It's about our joint bank account. When I started talking, Trent's expression stiffened.
Our joint account? Oh yeah, the bank book. I don't have it with me right now.
I know my balance is going down, even though I don't have the bank book, Trent. What the hell are you spending all that money on?
Business stuff, of course. But still, you're spending too much. If anyone used up the amount I initially saved up, you know? There's just a lot of things that have to be dealt with these days. Ollie, don't it you bound business?
He was so pissed, and the conversation was clearly going nowhere. Clearly going nowhere. I was nowhere satisfied with the answers he provided me, so I took the liberty to look up the name of the enterprise that was withdrawing a bunch of...
I was shocked to hear about my wife's infidelity from you. I must be honest. Just compared to what you've been through, I can only say I'm so ashamed, and that I hope you can accept my sincerest apologies.
Not at all, sir. You did nothing wrong whatsoever, sir, I assure you.
No, you don't understand. My wife is actually a terrible spendthrift. I've been trying to get her to change by landing her a job here in the company. I tried to give her some decent sums of money. I stopped all the credit cards too, but I didn't think she'd use a cheating lover as leverage to pay for the things she wanted.
My husband apparently had no idea he was being treated like a slave. She was only together with him to satisfy her insatiable lust for materialism. After the whole situation, Trent was transferred to a branch in the countryside, and he's continuing to work to pay the alimony and child support. His lover, too, suffered a file for divorce from executive manager Percival, and as of now, she lives and works in a factory in a rural area to pay off her alimony debt. With her gone, my workplace instantly became friendlier. I got in touch with some of the part-timers who quit, told them what had happened, and asked them to come back, all of whom obliged enthusiastically. We're not short-staffed anymore, and we've been able to work more efficiently. The newly appointed supervisor is a serious guy with lots more common sense and logic, and he generously recommended me for a permanent full-time position. The divorce was an unfortunate event, but the silver lining is that I was able to become independent because of it. I will continue to do my best in everything, from work to caring for the house to raising my teenage daughter, and I vow to make sure Amelia never has any problems as we continue to live a nice, healthy, happy life